Right, champs, one of the most hotly anticipated and hyped NFT project launches of 2020 so far has been HAPE. Today I'm bringing you a YouTube exclusive, the first fully doxed interview with the co-founder of HAPE, TheCarlBrutal. We discuss how HAPE came about, the challenges that they had to overcome, and exactly how to deliver a monstrous NFT project launch. Welcome back to the channel, I'm Tom Youngs, and today we've got a fun one for you because we are doing an exclusive interview with the co-founder of massively hyped project HAPE. In case you've been living under a rock for the past 6 months, HAPE Beast, who had to later rebrand to just HAPE, was one of the most hotly anticipated NFT project launches that we had ever seen. If you're new here, welcome. I'm here to help you navigate the dusty path that is NFT land, and if you've come back for more, welcome back, mate. Before we kick things off, please hit the like button down below. This really does help me keep on making these videos for you. And if you haven't already subscribed, mate, you need to join me on this epic journey. But most importantly, you need to fucking punch that notification bell so that you get notified faster than anyone else when I upload stuff to the cloud. Let's get into it. The Carl Brutal. What's so fucking brutal about you, mate? Why are you so brutal? Tell me about how brutal you are.
I have no good explanation, and it's very PG related because it was a nickname I got back in the days, which is why I rebranded myself to just Carl. It was my gaming tag for a very long time, and when I was working at Fnatic, that's what I was using. And then
Okay,
I wanted to change to change form.
Easy then. So it's not because you're not like you don't let the fists fly. You're not, nothing like that. You're not a boxer or anything. Nah,
I'm very upfront as a person, and I do kickbox. But I do know that people who practice martial arts are often the ones that never tend to fight.
That is what they say.
Outside of their discipline.
Absolutely. Well, that's what they said. It's something that I've always wanted to do martial arts because of that. Because I always feel the problem is I've been beaten up a few times. And it's because I think I can fight, and I actually can't fight.
It's because you're looking like Dr. Disrespect 2.0.
Exactly, man. Exactly. Carl, thank you so much for joining me, man. So I've been excited. We've had this on the cards for like 5 months now since we first started speaking in December last year. And I'm super excited for you to be able to join me. We're going to do a little kind of Q&A because this is the first time that you'll have explained and kind of described your epic story over the past 6 months. And just to provide a little bit of context for those of you that are watching, Carl was the community manager for HAPE, which was at the time when it launched the biggest NFT project that we had ever seen, at least from a launch perspective. Huge amount of hype around it. And I was very lucky. I got to mint one, and I had what I felt like a very positive experience through the launch process. And Carl was really at the forefront of that, and all of the challenges that go along with delivering a project of extreme hype, especially, to be honest, you had the hardest job, man. You really did. So Carl, do you want to tell us a bit about first up, how did you get into it? How did you become the community manager of HAPE?
Sure. So like we said before that we started this recording, I mentioned a quote that I've been living by for a very long time now, which is Amor Fati, which is a Stoic quote that basically says, "It didn't happen to you, it happened for you." So I will come back to that in a second in how I actually got into HAPE. But during last year and during the last 2 years, as you well know, we had been in lockdown for a very long time in London. And during this time, I actually became a full-time trader, more so crypto than NFTs, and got into NFTs with the DGen Ape Academy on Solana and a couple of other projects over there. And during this time, I had also moved to a new street in London. And on this street, I was the de facto bike thief chaser in the neighborhood. So there was a group chat in East London with all of the residents on the street talking about, now someone is stealing my bike again, someone is doing XYZ on the street. In this group chat, all of a sudden, I was fairly depressed during this time. not much to do, just sitting at home trading, etc. I asked if anyone was into NFTs, and lo and behold, Digimental, Matt Sapien, as some of you know him, the founder of HAPE, was living on my street. We had never spoken to each other, and we decided to go for brunch or lunch, and the rest is history, essentially.
Bloody hell, man! Like, I can't believe it's that simple. And I think it puts it into perspective. Like at the moment when I've spoken about this a lot in the if you're trying to kind of enter Web3 at the moment, and especially the NFT space, and you feel like you maybe don't have skills, or if you're a young person or whatever, the best thing that you can do is just focus on networking and meeting people.
Sure.
Quite rare though that some sort of like partnership happens like in real life like that. I think that's probably one of the rare kind of times that's happened. Like what the hell happened? What happened after that then? So you guys met.
So essentially he sent me a text, and I was like, "Oh, what flat do you live in?" And he said his, and I said mine. And then I was like, "Oh, you have an ape," because he had an ape as his profile picture on WhatsApp. And I was like, "Oh, I'm so sad I missed out on Bored Ape Yacht Club." And he was like, "I have a screenshot of this conversation later, and I can send it to you so that you've seen it." But it's quite epic because Diggy is like, "Oh, don't worry, mate. Apes are gonna take over." And then he sent me a picture of the first ape that he made, like the Thanos Genesis ape that's in the Genesis collection that no one owns. And I was like, holy shit. And then we decided to go to lunch. And from there, I told him about my sort of background in tech, from Google as a key account manager. And then after that, being the general manager or head of team operations over at Fnatic, the esports organization, where I was for about 3 years. Speaking about how I built communities, how I built the brands for the players. One day, essentially managing tournaments and player activities, and then the other day making sure that a player is getting the right mouse pad. So it's like very heaven and earth what you would manage, but an amazing journey, and also helping them launch their own careers in terms of YouTube channels, Twitch channels, Instagram, etc., to make sure that they have a brand that they can live off of when they retire from gaming, essentially.
Bloody hell! So like, I think that this adds a lot of color to like, okay, well, why were you the person that was doing this role? And like now I'm thinking back and I'm like, okay, well, this makes sense. You crushed it. Like you really crushed it under what was and for people that aren't aware of this, perhaps are new to this, this was the Discord server that HAPE had. Like this was a server which was under so much stress from volume, whether it was bots or just people trying to get in. It was so, it was extreme amounts of like pressure put on that server. And it kind of, it goes to show that like, you can't just fake having experiences. You have to actually know how to do shit to be able to like do what you did. So this is kind of like all adding up now.
Yeah, I mean, I was responsible for the community bits, but also the minting strategy and how we would do that. And the marketing was sort of me and Digi together. So like coming up with cool ideas on how we would engage on social platforms like Twitter, for example. Like what would go along well with the audience that we got. How to keep interest, how to generate interest, how to sneak peek what is coming, but not tell too much, and etc. Keep everybody on their toes for as long as possible.
You guys did for looking at it from an objective perspective, as someone who used to own a HAPE, doesn't own a HAPE now, but was there frankly to be a correspondent and just discuss what you guys are doing.
I mean, at this time you had like 2,000 subscribers, right?
Yeah, exactly. A couple of thousand subscribers, like nothing really. But I was like, I was just there to just showcase like what people were doing. And to be honest, at the time, like it was very clear that you guys were leading. You were leading, like you were the first people to do what you did, dropping the sneak peek trailer that you guys did, the level of quality. And yeah, it was clear that you guys were really pushing the boundary. And people will kind of look back at it and say, well, that was kind of maybe a double-edged sword, and that you guys were so good at it that you built up so much expectation to the market that there was never going to be a situation where you could actually deliver. And it's the kind of the reverse of what the paradox of like under promise and over deliver. And you guys did such a good job at just kind of getting people excited, not from doing much, that everyone was like, fuck, this is going to be epic. And it was like, just the assumption that this was going to be the Bored Ape Yacht Club, but fucking on steroids. Like, and that's what people were expecting. What was like, where did you think that this was going to go? Like, so at the time when things picked up pace, did you expect the kind of reaction from the market that you guys received initially?
I think it could be a book could be written about everything that happened, like from mint to reveal, and like
how about before?
Around
how about before? So how about from from the moment you guys kind of like dropped the trailer, when things just picked up pace rapidly, right? Like, were you did you guys
it went
that?
viral.
Yeah,
it went viral within 2 hours, essentially. I think we had 100,000 actual like living human beings in the Discord after less than a week, or something like that. And just for point of reference, we banned nearly over 1 million bots during the whole lifetime of the Discord up until today. So yeah, it was a crazy ride. But I mean, everything started obviously with Diggy working on this trailer for essentially 6 weeks, is what it took him to make it, and having a sort of statement piece when you actually launch the channel or the actual project, I think is vital, because once you get above the sort of, I would say, like 5 to 10,000 members or followers on Twitter, that is when the word of mouth actual marketing starts happening more and more.
Sure.
We were never the case of we want to sell you something. We just wanted to make cool shit that people would want to be a part of. Yeah. So that's how the trailer went so viral, because we made shit that we think is cool, and then other people like that as well.
Does it surprise you? I mean, it surprises me, to be honest, that we've only seen a few examples of projects who have done something similar to you guys. I mean, so off the top of my head, projects who were launched around the similar time, just after, was a project called Antonym. They were another project that kind of did a really decent kind of sneak peek trailer. I've been surprised to see how, I mean, maybe this is just a symptom of how low the barrier to entry is to actually roll out a project, and perhaps that's changed now. But back in kind of January, February, you guys had really set the bar, and I think there were a lot of projects who were trying to, they were trying to get to that level. They were trying to like, okay, well, HAPE has set the bar. This is where we need to be.
At that time, we had already been building for over 2 months. I mean, we launched on the 19th of October last year. Well, launched as in the Discord opened. And it's sort of like, I think there's so many interesting topics to go into, and offshoots on how to discuss how to make a successful launch, if that makes sense, or successful entry to the market. But you have to be special. You have to have something that is eye-catching. You can't have a slow video where the first 10 seconds is not going to grab the attention of someone. Because if you don't grab it there, why are you going to grab it later?
Yeah.
So you're already fighting an uphill battle when you're having zero exposure essentially to your audience. And this is obviously where marketing and influencers, etc., comes in. But a fun fact there is that HAPE actually didn't spend a single dollar on marketing during the whole process from beginning to mint. The only thing that we did was invest time and graphical resources that Diggy made.
I mean, it just goes to show, like, yeah, it has been the same for the projects out there who actually put in the time and effort to do that. But I think that there's kind of like it's a representation of the types of people who are actually founding projects, like the good founders who understand how marketing works, who understand how branding works. They're the types of folks that actually do that, because they recognize, they understand that it's extremely powerful to get off on that foot. But yeah, for you guys, I think like one of the biggest surprises for me was that I read roadmaps every day now. Like, I read roadmaps of projects every day, and it's always the exact same. It's the exact same shit. It's like, we're going to have a whitelist marketplace. We're going to buy some other NFTs. We're going to have merch. And that's basically it now.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with what you guys have been building, like what you guys set out to build. Has it surprised you how the market has kind of like not seemingly, they're not willing to kind of accept what you guys are actually doing and actually pushing the boundaries a bit? They're like, kind of, if anything, they kind of just don't want to see it because they have, they have their own kind of reflections on what they feel like the brand is.
Yeah, I feel like to answer that question, you have to go back and see what happened with HAPE during the reveal process and after the reveal process with the floor price. I think that at HAPE, to give more context, at HAPE we liked to do things for the first time that no one had ever done. We were the first one who ever did a charity auction for the Genesis collection before anything was released at all. We raised over, well, it was 35 ETH at that time for Save the Children before the release. Awesome. Nothing obviously to what Invisible Friends did, but I hope they got the idea from me. So, but and then looking at the women and NFT channel, the BIPOC, the LGBTQ, etc. But to your point, I think that when you are the first project that, and I made the decision to not work with any influencers and do a 100% whitelist for the community, and you get the sort of hype that you do, it creates sort of two camps. It's the haves and the have-nots.
Yeah.
And the have-nots are so vastly outnumbering the haves that you are not really creating supporters, because it's easier to be negative towards something that you don't have than be positive towards it. So the barrier of entry to HAPE was so high that you got a lot of people got a negative connotation when we maybe turned them away if they were an influencer, because we wanted to give the maximum amount of profitability to the community than others who are already in a position of not power, but they're in a fortunate position of who they are or similar. So I think that the FUD that came during the actual reveal process and after is extremely uncalled for what it was worth, in terms of the ear sticking through the hat, which was an actual design feature and design decision made by Diggy, and that was what essentially led to a downwards trend for the floor price. I think that when the floor price is going down, the conviction of a community gets tested. And if you have a floor price that goes up, everything is always fine and dandy. But if you have a vision of where the project was going to be from the beginning, this was the roadmap, and we have spoken about that roadmap explicitly, but the floor price goes down, people's minds change of what is actually convincing someone to buy in. So it's kind of like when, maybe it's not the best analogy, but Netflix got launched in to 1995, if I'm not mistaken, or somewhere in the 90s, and they were just too early for the technology at that time.
Yeah.
So it feels like a little bit HAPE with the vast sort of ambition to change digital wearables and how fashion brands integrate in whatever Web3 or metaverse world you want to call it, is very ambitious, but it's maybe a little bit early for everybody to understand the vastness of the task that is being taken upon in that mission. So I feel like with the changes that's have been done to the actual roadmap now, it's a lot of good changes, and I have never doubted where HAPE will be in 1 year, 2 years, and 3 years, and 5 years from now. But I think that the novice NFT buyer or holder is very addicted to quick money and quick liquidity, quick flips, whatever you want to call it. And that is no knock against any of them, because I'm similar. I'm a trader. I'm here for the financial gains as well. So I'm not going to sit here and be a saint about it. But I also think that you have to do your own research on what you are actually buying into when you're buying into these projects, and not just buy it because it's hot on Twitter.
Yeah.
I think that our reveal day was on the decline of one of the biggest drop-offs in volume ever on OpenSea. I think from the day that we revealed, 7 days later, it was 90% down in day-to-day volume on OpenSea, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I mean, the way I kind of felt like it played out, because we're obviously in this space at the moment where there's trust issues, right? There's trust issues on like, will it be a Pixelmon? So will they just take our money and fuck off? As in, they've got no way.
What happened with that? I still don't know.
No one knows, bro. There's just some kid in New Zealand who's got $70 million, and I don't know. But there's the trust issues for that, and then there's the okay, well, especially if the teams are kind of still anonymous. It's like, well, you guys were claiming that you're going to build something like really significant, and now I've been following along, and I've seen you guys continually like deliver on the roadmap promises in what I think is a very, very professional, a very, very professional way, like more professional than I've seen any other.
Maybe a little bit too much in a Web 2 way compared to a Web 3 way. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a balance there that needs to be had.
Absolutely, but then at the end of the day, it's like you guys are building tech shit, and it's like you can't just hope that kind of stuff comes together. It's like you do need people who are actually good at delivering products, and products take professionalism to actually build and deliver. And that's what you guys, to me, someone who's watching, I was like, I fucking loved it. I loved seeing the HAPEs of the Nation, and you guys demonstrating that you were a team that were capable of like building and delivering on this stuff. What my kind of I suppose like theory about what happened with the price action post reveal was, sure, there was the FUD, which was frustrating to see, because it did seem to be from just a few influencers that were clearly, for your, you guys made the decision not to make it easy for people, like few of them, to get in. And I agree with you. I think they took out that pain in a shitty way. These are people that frankly I don't ever want to meet, because I think that they just lacked any sort of integrity, and they were just happy just throwing flames at something that didn't require it. My theory was that the collection that you guys launched, there's two theories to this. One is that you guys were delivering streetwear for the metaverse, right? You were delivering streetwear. I'm a streetwear kind of guy. I'm big into fashion.
Same. If I posted a picture with this hoodie in the Discord at any time, they would go insane.
Exactly.
Do you remember what everybody said, like before the launch, like, oh, they have a Supreme collab, and I'm like, come on.
Exactly, dude. So like, this what there was a kind of like I think the project really attracted people who actually did have an interest in streetwear. They were like, they could see this,
And
but
that
then
wasn't into NFTs. That was the key.
exactly. And ultimately, what happened was you also have the majority of Web3 are fucking, like, no offense to you watching this, but most of them, like, they don't have a dress sense. They don't like fashion. Like, they just don't. They're guys that just isn't. And so there's a disconnect there. Kind of like delivering, we were trying to build a product that is for a certain sector of people, but the, like, where they kind of mix is it's not, it's not comprehensive enough. So what I felt like was the collection that you guys dropped, looking at it objectively, I thought it was fucking high quality and was made with streetwear. It was a streetwear collection. It was fucking really well done. But for people that have no clue about streetwear, which is the majority of the NFT space, they look at it and they're like, oh, the colors, the fucking, like, all of the different attributes, all of the different all different accessories, all that stuff. Whereas I'm watching it being like, shit, they fucking nailed that. They nailed that. They nailed this. They've really thought about the details, the different accessories. And I feel like for them, the average NFT trader, they don't have a clue. That's kind of how I felt. And that meant it was easier for them to FUD it. People that didn't have a clue, just like FUDding because they just were clueless. Whereas I thought, objectively, I thought you guys delivered a really, like, high quality art collection that I one of my other theories as well was that because it's a kind of like humanized collection. And how, I don't know if you feel this, but I tend to gravitate towards NFTs that have some sort of, I can see myself or some part of myself in it.
Portraying yourself in the image of it.
Exactly. And I felt like the collection that you guys delivered was so diverse. It made it tough for people to feel, to find the one that they're connected to. Would that make sense to you?
Too much choice, like when the menu is too big.
Exactly. And also the vibrancy of like a lot of the colorways that you guys chose. I think that a lot of people, that's at least the sentiment that I picked up on, with people are just like, oh, it's cool, but like, I can't find my one. That's kind of the vibe that I saw. And that really isn't, you can't help that. I thought you guys delivered an amazing collection.
For sure. I mean, Diggy was very inspired by the monochromatic colorways of, like, the late 90s and early 2000s with P. Diddy and Missy Elliott and all of these. So it's really in his image, and I think he nailed it, looking back on what the inspiration is. But
I again, someone who is into streetwear and kind of understands just the kind of how things are currently sit. I felt like on the day that collection was launched, it felt like it was aligned with the current streetwear, like very, very aligned with current streetwear. But yeah, the problem is that the majority of the people in the NFT space don't have a clue about streetwear. And that was my kind of feeling, was like, regardless, I saw you guys make huge efforts to really deliver on the promises of your roadmap. And I think you did an amazing job so far. Can you tell us a little bit about, like, where things stand with you and HAPE at the moment? Like, what's going on in Carl's world at the moment?
Yeah, so I have since last week, on Friday, left the HAPE team to essentially do my own projects, I guess you could say. I have two that I'm going to be working on. That's first news here, I guess. So I'm going to be working on those. I'm always going to be a HAPE holder. Always probably been the most life-altering experience that I will ever take part in. And I'm always going to support the team. It's like, I think that, for example, the coin partnership that they've just made is so beyond what anyone else can comprehend, and how bullish that actually is, compared to launching your own HAPE coin or whatever you want to call it, because there's zero underlying value whenever an NFT project launches their coin, except when Yuga Labs releases ApeCoin, they make a full DAO and they attach actual IP rights to that DAO to back the actual value of the coin.
Sure.
That is very different than XYZ NFT project out there that releases, oh, we released our own coin, here's staking, wow, wow, wee woo, like this is cool. That's not the case with the CMD partnership, for example. I think you need to look at it and be like, okay, and this is obviously no knock against HAPE or anything like that. Like CMD is not going to live and die by HAPE, and HAPE will not live and die by CMD. So they're not correlated in terms of market performance, which means that if you are earning CMD as a HAPE holder and CMD does a 100x from its initial mint, that's amazing. And you'd get that essentially for free for owning your HAPE. So the thing that they are not correlated, it's just more bullish. And there is an underlying technology, underlying investment into that technology that launches that actual coin from the beginning. So I think that is extremely bullish. And also, obviously, I know more things that are coming in the future, but that's like the thing that I can speak about the most. And obviously, the amount of investments that are going into actually hiring the best talent available to make HAPE into the digital wearables company of Web3. Make it the partner for a fashion house to launch their digital wearables collection. That is the whole reason why we have a partnership with Highsnobiety, for example. I had the I want to tweet so many things, but I'm always afraid what people would think. And I said, I had a funny tweet the other day when I wanted to write something like, "We need less nerds and more fashion influencers in the Web3 space," and then HAPE would do great. I'm a nerd myself, but I like fashion as well.
This is the thing. This is why I was like, I'm happy calling people out, because like ultimately, yeah, we're all fucking nerds. We are all nerds. We just all have very different interests. Like, I'm not a gamer, so I'm not into gaming, but like I like culture. Like culture is my culture and art. That's my nerd, and science and tech. And
I don't know fucking shit about that. All I know is that I've spent like 2.5 years of game time in World of Warcraft, and that's how I understand trading and like digital wearables, items, roadmap, gamification, and then working in then it came to skins in CS:GO. That's how you could explain to someone who's a total novice what an NFT is to some extent, or what a digital wearable is, where it's like, oh, you know the skins in Fortnite. So imagine that you own that and it's unique and someone can see who is the author of that, who has owned it before you, etc., 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 along the chain. So it's like all of the previous experiences that we have, all as nerds or whatever you want to call it, feeds into the experiences and assets that you can use to develop a career within Web3. Because no one knows what they're like. No one knows what they're doing in Web3. Everybody is a Web3 expert, but it's only just taking experiences from your previous roles or what you've done earlier in life and just applying that to a decentralized movement to some extent.
It kind of reminds me of like there's something that I remind myself, and I've heard a lot of people. I think Elon Musk has like spoken about this before, or perhaps not him, but this concept that nothing is ever new. Like there is no like kind of brand new IP on anything. All it is iterations of what already exists. People aren't just plucking ideas out of their ass. It's like they have experiences, they have education, everything. All of that adds together, and then you can iterate on it. You can iterate on that, and that's just it's so. Yeah, I'm with you, and it's like that's why I get messages from some from some younger folks, some really young folks who are into NFTs and stuff, and they want to launch their own projects. And I'm like, my advice to them is like, just try and have fun. Like, try and have fun, and don't try and change the world.
Everybody who says that I'm doing my own consultancy on the side now, where I take calls and whatever, and people reach out to me on Twitter. And the first thing, whenever someone asks me and they say that they are going to do a collection, is like, I'm like, don't do a collection. Just absorb as much as you can from other collections, what they are doing good, what they are doing bad, what can you do better, and also go out into the world, the real world, gain experience from other companies, and then apply that to whatever you want to do in Web3.
Yeah, it's so tough, because that's what I want to say to like some of these young guys, but at the same time, I don't want to like kill their dreams. So I'm like, I'd have to deliver it carefully and be like, look, just focus on like having fun, learning, and networking, and keeping it easy. But you see these people and they're like, oh, I can make $1 million or whatever, and I'm just
but are you willing to commit your life as a founder to that business, like, for a long time? Because in my own opinion, in light of recent events, you don't abandon projects just because they're going badly.
Oh, and this to me, I have strong feelings around this, but to be honest, it's part of that is all of it is linked to actually the fact that I can see your face now, and the fact that you're not anonymous or pseudonymous. You're out there, people know who you are. I think that unfortunately the pseudonymity and anonymity allows for people to do that. It gives them an access for people to drop tools when they feel like it, or paint a picture or a scenario that means that
the thing is, here's a hilarious thing. People only care about if someone is not anonymous when things are going badly.
Yeah.
They don't care about anonymity at all, or someone being doxxed, if something is going to the moon. They don't give a fuck. Like, let's be real.
It's so true. It's so true. But I'm not. I don't know. I have like and I think this is because I'm a visual person. I like seeing people's faces. I react to like emotion and stuff, and I really struggle with the anonymity side of things, and it's I think we've got a lot to work through, but I'm excited. I mean, I'm still like excited. I'm excited to see what the hell you're doing next, because taking the learnings that you have got from what you've been through, the learnings, yeah. But like, okay, well, let's wind this out. Like, you like, there are obviously lots of different circumstances around people doing stuff, but like that ultimately, when I read Zagabond's article the other day, I resonated with it, because I was like, well, okay, yeah, this guy is clearly someone who just wanted to like build an experiment, but unfortunately he did it without understanding the ethical implications of playing with people's fucking money. And so I think he had the right like idea, but he just, he kind of didn't, he used his anonymity to be able to buffer that, to be able to like get away with the fact that he was, fucking with seriously big, large bags. But regardless,
I think that when it comes to that particular example, there's probably a lot more like nuance to what actually has happened in that. Sure. And we probably never will know the exact details behind it all, but I obviously take this very personal as someone who's been a part on a founding team of a project that got massively funded from some even community members of said community, and then them defending their own founder for much more egregious things than what happened to us, or from what we have done. But I think that regardless, the publicness, or the thing that these things go public, will be good in the long term, because in a couple of months you're not going to have as many anonymous teams, and the risk factor and barrier of entry for someone who wants to make a project is going to be much higher, which doesn't make it as easy to extract liquidity from the market to yourself and just disappear.
That's been, we've just been through this period, this like,
because I was going to add to that as well, that it's not as easy to get your project to mint out anymore. Like you can have a 100,000 people Discord and you won't mint out always.
But like in fairness, that kind of comes back to the point that I made at the beginning, which is like, okay, well, you guys at HAPE, and from my perspective, have been building something genuinely unique. Like you've actually funded this like a startup tech company. You're building tech. You actually have you have a USP to you have differentiation around your roadmap. But you're right, like these projects that have 100,000 followers and stuff, how many of them have the same fucking roadmap and fairly budget looking art? Like, so no wonder it doesn't sell out, because ultimately the core of their project is not unique, it's not high quality. And when the market is like not hot, like they and that's been the frustrating thing, is seeing projects and project founders in this past period feeling like they're entitled to minting out a project, despite them, even though they feel like they've worked their arse off over a couple of months, ultimately they're still not building anything that, their art is shit. Everything is kind of like mediocre. And it's like, we did go through a period where mediocrity was, for whatever reason, valuable back in, January. But we've passed that now. People have we need to start expecting high
I actually feel like HAPE's impact is so much larger than just the holders. It really changed the community aspects of the NFT world to some extent.
Sure.
Like the amount of founders of projects that have been inspired by HAPE and then gone out and make either their own projects or just like got their first initial exposure to Web3 through HAPE has been quite amazing. And I think that a lot of the time, us who has been through the journey of the ups and the downs, we forget about how many people's lives we actually changed with the decision of 100% whitelist and a very low minting price of 0.2. Like the amount of messages that we have that maybe isn't shared because I don't know if it's right to share. It's like, you actually changed my life. Like me and my wife can now go and get help starting a family, or you helped me with my student debt and all of these things. But there's always a flip side to that someone bought that liquidity and now they're down on that investment. So it's like,
it's really, really tough to like balance the kind of like the I suppose the ethical, like moral, like economics around it. But like I do, I completely agree with you. I know that one of my good friends, NFT Nate, who also managed to
I know Nate very well.
So and he, his was the same thing. He was able to help other people in his audience like change their lives through making life-changing amounts of money through being able to mint a HAPE. And I know that he is really proud of that fact, because that was like tangible. And it's and I think, like you said, it's a shame that we can't share those kind of stories a bit more. But just for people that
maybe
are watching, maybe one day.
When we are above that like initial buy-in sort of bracket where most people bought in, bought on the secondary, that's like when we can release the stories.
Exactly. I mean, the way I, and this I may be right or wrong, but like the way I kind of like get over the ethical dilemma around it is that I still do think the barrier to entry to be playing in NFTs, especially in ETH NFTs, is really, really high. And unless you're able to mint, I think that people who would be, quote, left holding the bag at a higher, who are buying like higher up on the way up, those still have to be people that are aware that there are huge risks, and the barrier to entry is high. I really don't feel like there are tons of people out there who are getting, you know, life-changingly wrecked from this shit. I just honestly just don't think that. So yeah, I feel like
there will always be outliers. There will be some, obviously, that go for the Hail Mary, but we just wish, you know, that that's not the case.
Yeah. And yeah, it's
people have to be responsible for their own.
Well, exactly, and I think that I do think, like, my gut feeling is that the barrier to entry is high enough. Like, you know, we even people who are plenty rich enough to be able to be playing in NFTs don't go anywhere near it because of the risk levels. So I do think that there are, you know, we can kind of take some some guilt off the table, because everyone knows what the rules of engagement are. We typically do know all this. But yeah, bro, I want to kind of like, first, I want to say thank you for joining me. Like, this has been a long time coming.
I think we could do another episode as well.
I would love to. You know, so my aim is to migrate my content and everything towards more like not storytelling, but you know, I want to be able to tell the stories of people. I will be moving towards podcasting, and no doubt you've got a fun journey ahead of you. When will we be hearing about your next moves?
I think one of them will definitely be maybe next week. So that would be, let me check dates.
The end of May.
I would guess, yeah, it would be end of May, around like the 25th, 26th, something around that. And then the other one will be a little bit later on. I think that the key for a lot of projects now is to do a lot of work before they even consider announcing. Depending obviously on the scope of what they're going to do.
I think the thing is, though, I think that you're only saying that because you know you have had the experience of living through that. Like, it's obvious for me. Like, I'm like, you'd be fucking stupid, and I see this all the time. People just dropping stuff, thinking, oh yeah, this is great, and then they don't understand the significance of momentum. They don't understand how important that is. So yeah, I'm not surprised that you have that insight. I'm fucking excited to see, like, if for like all of those guys out there, where should they be following you? Where do you like, where are we at?
My only medium of communication is at TheCarlBrutal, or you can probably just search just Carl on Twitter, and that's where they can find me.
Awesome, bro. Have you locked down the ENS yet?
I have, long time ago. It's just Carl.eth and just Carl.sol.
Okay, awesome. I actually haven't done Sol yet. Shit, I need to get on. Oh fuck, I need to do that before this actually goes live. So, bro, thank you so much for joining me.
That's where they can find me, and I do consulting on the side, like just 1 hour calls to help people as well.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for joining, and we will catch up down the line. Will we see each other in NFT New York?
Yes, I will be there.
Fucking A, let's go. Well, yeah, I'll see you in a few weeks, man.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Cheers, dude. I hope you champs enjoyed that exclusive interview. If you haven't already done so, make sure to come and sign up for my weekly What the Flip Friday newsletter, mate. This is where I drop all the tasty alpha at the end of the week, mate. This is also exactly where you'll find out more information about the NFT project that I'm going to be launching, so you do not want to miss out on that, mate. If you want success trading in the NFT space, you need to understand what the current meta is, and the current meta at the moment is Solana NFTs. If you want to find out which projects I'm looking at the moment, check out this video I made here, mate. Remember, team, the summit is infinite. We're just here to help each other climb. I'll see you next time. Peace.